I'm Benjamin Hall, and I'm searching for heroes. Hello, and welcome to Searching for Heroes. I'm Benjamin Hall. I want to take a moment today to talk to you directly, not just about where this podcast has been, but where it's going and why. When I first began this podcast, I did it with the hope that others might find strength in the stories of people who had lived through the unimaginable, people who had hit rock bottom through war, illness, loss, or tragedy, and still found a way not just to survive, but to move forward. That idea was deeply personal for me. After my own injury while reporting in Ukraine, I found myself having to rebuild not just my body, but my sense of who I was. And along the way, I discovered something. Resilience isn't a single act. It is a daily choice. It is a quiet strength. And often, it is found in the most unexpected of places. Over more than a year, we've had the extraordinary privilege of speaking with people who embody that strength. We began, first of all, with Rich Fierro, the Army veteran who acted without hesitation when a gunman opened fire at Club Q in Colorado Springs. Faced with chaos and terror, Rich didn't freeze. He fought. He told me that the only thought that crossed his mind was, I knew I had to do something. And that instinct saved countless lives. We've heard from Maya Regev, a young woman who was kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival on October the 7th and held hostage by Hamas. Shot and gravely wounded, she was taken from her family, her freedom, and nearly her life. And yet throughout her captivity, she held on to hope. She never stopped believing she would see her loved ones again. That determination, that unshakable will, that is resilience in its rawest form. And Amanda Boxtel, paralyzed in a skiing accident, who refused to accept her diagnosis and now helps others walk again through her foundation, Bridging Bionics. Because for Amanda, resilience isn't just about recovery, it's about reinvention. Dr. Lucy Hone is a resilience expert whose work turned personal after losing her 12-year-old daughter, Abby. She used her research to navigate grief, later sharing her insights in the best-selling book Resilient Grieving. She showed us that even when we think we have nothing left, we still have something to give and someone to reach. There was also Dr. Joe Alderetti, one of the first people I saw after being rescued from Ukraine. He wasn't just a doctor. He was a guide through some of the hardest physical and emotional days of my recovery. His quiet strength, his unwavering calm, reminded me that resilience is often found in those who lift others, even as they carry the weight of countless tragedies themselves. These stories, and many more, have been a masterclass in the human spirit, and they've reminded me of something essential. Resilience is not just about surviving the hard moments. It's about who we become because of them. It's about how we connect, how we can grow, and how we can carry each other through the hardest moments. And that brings me to today and to a new chapter for this podcast. Going forward, Searching for Heroes will still focus on resilience, on courage, and on people who inspire, but we're going to structure it differently to try and give these stories even more depth, even more context. So from now on, we'll be exploring one theme at a time over the course of 3 episodes. That means 3 different guests, 3 different perspectives, all centered around one experience that connects us all. And why are we doing that? Well, I think it's because resilience isn't one size fits all. And when we look at stories side by side, when we compare them and contrast them, and when we reflect on them, then we get a better understanding of the human experience, to understand not just what people go through, but how they find meaning in it. And our first theme for the first 3 episodes is something that touches all of us in one form or another: solitude. We'll be speaking to people who have been utterly alone, perhaps in the middle of the ocean, at the bottom of the world, or simply in a room full of people where they felt invisible. We'll hear from people who explore the loneliness of our modern digital lives, and also perhaps the human need and how important it is to connect. Each one of them will bring something unique to the conversation, whether it is survival, spiritual awakening, or even getting through negative mental health. I hope they will all teach us something about what it means to be alone and how we can come out the other side with more strength, more compassion, more understanding. We'll be back in a moment with Searching for Heroes. What I've learned through this podcast and in speaking to all these heroes is that resilience isn't just about bouncing back. And I've said it many times. It is about transforming. It's about finding meaning even when things appear totally broken. Again, I know that journey myself. And often that happens in solitude, when the noise is gone. Sometimes that is when we discover what really matters. This new format gives us the chance to step back, look at the bigger picture, and ask what can we learn from anyone who's walked these paths before us? And perhaps more importantly, how can we then support each other better through this kind of journey? And I want to keep saying that this isn't just a podcast, certainly not for me. It feels like a community. I've grown so much from speaking to so many people, and I hope you have too. And I want you, all of you, all the listeners, to be part of that. So look, if there are themes that you'd like us to explore, if there are stories that you've lived, or people that we should be talking to, I want you please to reach out. Find me on social media, leave a comment. However you can get hold of me, please do it, because we think that your voice matters here. And the stories we tell might just be the ones that you help us find. So I want to thank every single guest we've had on so far. It has been an absolute honor to hear your stories. I want to thank you, the listener, for walking alongside with us, for being open, for being curious, and I think above all, for being willing to look honestly at the human experience, the good, the hard, and always, I think, the hopeful. So join us as we begin this new chapter, one theme at a time, one story at a time, and always one step closer to understanding what it means to be truly resilient. This is Searching for Heroes. I'm Benjamin Hall, and I can't wait to share what's coming next. Thanks for listening to Searching for Heroes. Listen ad-free with a Fox News Podcasts Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app.